A warm welcome everyone. I hope you all had a hearty lunch and lovely gathering today. So today, we are going to talk about best practices. This panel is about that. So today's discussion, it will be very visual. We will be having 4 presentations and we will be discussing certain questions about best practices. So best practices by who? Okay, by educators, by NGOs, governments, communities. So this is about everyone, including everyone. And MHH is such a vast field and there's so much to do and so much to learn. And you will all agree with me that we are still at the tip of iceberg and there's, so much of things that are, still we are yet to touch. So MHH has come a long way in India, even globally. And multiple things have happened over the decades and we have been raising awareness. We have been going through a life cycle approach, like we are including menopause, menarche and various other things. We are creating access to products, we are promoting sustainability, we have reusable products, we have biodegradable products, different range of products are there. And we are also involving non-menstruators in that, like men, and we are also including different communities in this, our programs, like LGBTQ community, then persons with disabilities. So, all this different kind of work is going on. And there are also been a lot of trainings to given to different stakeholders. We are involving those stakeholders in our program and all. So, still as I said, still we are at tip of iceberg and there is a lot to do. However, it's not negative, or I'm not saying it in a negative way. I'm saying yet though we are at tip of iceberg, still we have done so many things, and I'm sure these 4 presenters we have today, there will be so much to learn from each other. And also I want to add that there are so many apps and technology being used, and we'll be learning that when from one of the presentations, how we can use these apps and technology. And we will be also be seeing how context specific programs are being run, and so let's welcome each one of them. I would like to start with Meenakshi ma'am. So I request to the IT team to please play Meenakshi ma'am's presentation.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. It's always a tough act to go after lunch. You are kind of competing with the lovely food everybody had, and everybody wanting to relax a little bit. I have a presentation here. We were told about 10 slides that we can take. I'm going to look at it as a way of, I don't know what basis is applied to decide what is the best practice, what is the benchmark against which you are kind of judging any organization's work, or even within, if I had to, I kind of rack my brain and say, how do I decide what is the best practice? So my criteria for best practice really was to say, okay, this thing really worked on scale. This thing gave us a lot of insights about, innovating or doing new things in our, on the issue. So those were some of the things that I tried to apply. It could be various other criteria that you could apply, and I'm sure almost every organization present out here would have a best practice to offer to the sector. Maybe we need a kind of a knowledge consortium of some kind where all of us can tap into each other's best practice. So very quickly, Goonch didn't come into MHM as its founding kind of mandate. Goonch came into this world about 25 years ago. We completed 25 years this year. We came into this work through the channel of cloth. So that's kind of the atma of how we see MHM, that it is some of the most basic things that bother menstruators. and cloth being just an example of some of those basic things. So Goon's journey into it was okay. So today, after like a 25 years journey on, we started work on MHM back in 2003, I think, and so 2024 is almost 2+ decades. Today we are working in parts of 31 states, so the scale of it has really grown because somehow we were trying to look at the basics. While the MHM space has innovated and policy work has happened, we kind of gave ourselves the work कि अच्छा सबसे नीचे कौन है उसके साथ क्या कर सकते हैं वो कर लेते हैं. While the sector really grew and all. So the work that we did with hundreds of organizations, we work with a huge network of partner organizations. So the credit for the scale also goes to a lot of organizations that we worked with and learned from over the years. The model of Goonj, or the idea of Goonj, as some of you may know, is to use the urban surplus or whatever material is there in the world for it to be used as a nudge for getting the people to actually work on their own problems. That is the primary kind of principle behind Goonj's work, that how do we use whatever the world has today to be able to get communities to take action on their own issues. And you would see the NJPC works are not just a piece of cloth, it's about getting a pad or a menstrual cup or anything like that. So that we said, okay, can we, and India is a textile country, there is a lot of surplus pre and post consumer textile, especially cotton. We said, can we connect these two dots? So we were trying to look at it as a systemic issue, and we said, let's create some experiments for ourselves. That's how MyPad started after tsunami. We had a lot of cloth which had come from tsunami wastage. People had given a lot of cloth, but it was not all used in Tamil Nadu. So that's where the first pads started to emerge, cloth pads started to emerge, and then it grew into a large-scale operation. In Delhi, we have a huge operation on producing thousands and thousands of pads every year, which go to rural women. And we use these pads to then talk to women about their issues, and I'll come to that in a bit. But what was interesting was that we were integrating and we were seeing MHM as being just one of the problems that women were facing or the household was facing. And so we were integrating it very closely with whether it was a disaster work that we were doing, whether it was the food or nutrition or any other crisis that a rural family was facing. So it got very, early on it got built into our poverty work, our disaster work, our livelihood work, all of those remnants of MHM or the livelihood started to kind of interject with each other. So just sharing 2 or 3 best practices or things which have really worked well on the scale. Chuppi Thodo Baitak is break the silence meetings that we do. Thousands of those meetings are held in the villages but also in the cities of India. And we do these meetings with a cross section of society. Because we believe that one of the fundamental challenges even today that we are facing, even though the products are there, the policy is there is a culture. And the culture will only break when all sectors or all sections of the society will talk about it or be actually paying attention to it. So the Chuppi Thodo Baitak is a very well-designed or kind of very clearly demarcated conversation which has elements of listening, which have elements of the 4 A's that we talk about: awareness, access, affordability, and the most important section of action. So we use the Chuppi Thodo Baitaks as a space to mobilize women to take action together. And how whatever issues related to MHM, it could be water, it could be toilets, it could be anything that they are facing in their context which they would want to solve, and how can they come together. It also becomes a place for a lot of feedback and a lot of taboos being talked about, like I'm sure a lot of people working on awareness. So all of that happens as well, but also it doesn't just, we say, baat karne se khali nahi hoga. The mindset change will only happen when you do something. And so action is a very important element of the Chuppi Thoda Better. I'm just quickly trying to run through because I know we're already kind of behind everything. Cloth pads, as I mentioned, are created from millions of kgs of cotton and semi-cotton cloth, pre and post-consumer cotton and semi-cotton cloth that we collect from all over the country. So it comes from people like you and me, but also from people who are doing exports, giving us an export surplus, people who are giving us, anything excess that they are producing. All kinds of cotton cloth. This is segregated, it comes to a processing center, it goes through a rigorous process, and then the cloth pads are made. We also make, if anyone of you has seen, we make a whole kit which has a underwear, which even has a small pouch where a woman who wants to carry back her cloth pad can do so in a safe and dignified way. What we realize over all of these, and I'll just take a different stance on this, is that while we were talking to women in these Chuppi Thoda Betters and we were talking about pads, we realized that it is as much a technical issue to look at the wash and look at the products and all that, but it was also a question of how did a woman feel? How does a woman feel in her menstruation? And what does it do to her sense of self? From the age of 12 or 13 till the age of 50, when a woman is made to feel something, she's made to feel different, but not different in a good way. We would all like to feel different, every part of our life, but not in a good way. And what did it made a woman feel about her sense of choice? Whether it was a product choice, whether it was whether I want to speak up. The choice, I feel, is the most elemental, like the foundational thing that we were noticing among women, and the choice of deciding that I don't want to work on, say, toilets. Your organization might want to work on toilets, but in my community are facing a different challenge. So do I have the choice of working on a different challenge? Because that's what's bothering me. Those two principles really have stayed with us. And the third thing, given the diversity of the country, we realize that any one solution will not work. So as an organization, we said, okay, we'll be very agnostic to any one solution. We will not kind of marry ourselves to anything. We'll say, whatever is the solution which works for you in your own context, let's do that. That became like again, a foundational principle of how Hoonge works. We don't go in with a solution. We ask women to speak up. We ask women to come together and mobilize, and we ask women to take action. So cloth pads then just becomes a tool to be able to nudge for all of that to happen. My Pad ATM was born because we were seeing after disasters, women were not able to access even pads, so they didn't know what to do. And we felt that it was a simple, so as you can see, it's a trunk, where we leave these trunks with a group of women who take ownership of it locally, and then they give it out to their own community of women, and they raise some resources, some money out of it, which they then use for their own action-oriented, or whatever challenge they're facing, working on those aspects. I realize I'm not giving you enough time to read all of that is there on the slides, but I can assure you this is there with the organizers. It's there some of it is there on our website as well. My goal to run through this is so that if you have any questions for me, we can look into that and try and answer as much as possible. So I'm not spending too much time on the pointers here. This is Kitchen Gardens, which emerged again from the women. Women talked about anemia as one of the things that they faced because of their menstruation, and we said, what would be the solution? And so they started to talk about vegetables, that being there in their diet, and we said, okay, let all the women come together. And so hundreds of kitchen gardens women started to have and maintaining that for themselves. because it kind of enriched their diets, it enriched their children's diet. It became a very sustainable, locally evolved. So we didn't say that every community where Goonj works should have a kitchen garden. No. We said whichever community comes up and says we are facing, we shared the stories of this in different contexts, but it may or may not enthuse the local community to be able to take that up. So it became a very, not a, what do they say, not a push but a pull kind of a initiative. So that's all from me. I'm skimming through literally everything, hoping that you will have some questions. There's a lot which has been left unsaid. So if you have any questions, I think we probably have one or two questions. Would you have?
If anyone has questions for Meenakshi ma'am, we can take one or two questions. Just very quickly though, yeah.
So I just want to know, like I really like the initiative that has been taken and they are so grounded. Could you just highlight what are the roles that male family member or community leaders play in your program?
Take action together with the men. Supposing they say we don't have a private space for our menstrual, we want to have a bath and all, but we don't have a private space. So they want to create something which is like a simple private space. The men get involved. And then the speaking about the taboo and all is not needed because the MHM issue is already in the action. It's already in the room. And so we don't have to actually build a narrative around it. Women actually own it up and then take part in it. And men take part in it. And it becomes more visible for everybody.
Thank you so much. I have another question, but if anyone else has a question, they can take.
How do we make it so?
Community center.
If I say something, it might sound a little controversial, but I think, while evolving, we realize that India is such a wide and diverse country. We cannot possibly know what is needed or what is the issue in each village of each state. It's like 6 lakh plus villages. So the prime learning was that we have to learn to say, I don't know. And I think so then you move the power or move the center to the person saying, you tell us. You tell us your problem. You tell us about how do we design this. And you become the lead in solving it. And that kind of changes the whole. So we are there, we're facilitating, we are nudging you, but we are not the center of the story. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is it okay if we take your question later? Is it okay? Yeah. So we can move to Sachin's presentation, I guess. So thank you so much, Meenakshi ma'am, for that. Can you please play Sachin's presentation? Yeah.
Hello everyone, I am from Samajbandh organization. As all of you or some of us do awareness and cloth manufacturing and training, we also do that in 22 districts of Maharashtra with 60 facilitators. But I will talk about the best practice. I don't call it as best practice, but I will call it as best experiment we are doing in Gadchiroli with a period hut tradition. So, as we know, there are many superstitions regarding periods in India, but in some primitive tribes of India, in Gadchiroli districts of Maharashtra, there is a Kurma Pratha, which is, we can call it as periodic tradition in Maria primitive tribe. Kurma is a local Maria word for periods, and women are forced to live in a separate hut outside or nearby the villages, and they cannot come to the yards of their home or cannot touch to the water. There are many restrictions You can see the picture. Such huts are there, which are constructed by only female only, and male do not touch it, and it has no door or no light, no flooring, and many women and girls die due to snake and scorpion bites. We did survey with 3,000 women in 35 villages we were. So out of that 10% means 300 women has found snake in their period hut. So it is very dangerous, but still it's being followed, because if a woman do not follows it, then she has to give a fine, because it's believed that if a woman is passed from in front of any male or a pujari, which is a local priest, then that priest may die, or that woman's periods will end for 3 months, and anything will happen. In the time of Corona, some priest said that Corona बीमारी ये आ गई है क्योंकि महिलाएं पीरियड्स के दौरान कुर्मा फॉलो नहीं करती. So whatever your education or background may be, you cannot escape from that period hut, and so we started our intervention. So ये इंटरवेंशन शुरू करने की ज़रूरत इसलिए थी क्योंकि एक तो स्नेक एंड स्कॉर्पियन बाइट से डेथ वहाँ पे हो रही है, उसी के साथ ये फंडामेंटल राइट्स जो है कि राइट टू लिव विद डिग्निटी, या फिर अगेंस्ट डिस्क्रिमिनेशन, अगेंस्ट सोशल बॉयकॉट, तो ये सभी इसमें होता है. और ये हर किसी को जायज़ लगता है कि ये हमारी संस्कृति है, हमारी प्रथा है. हम वहाँ के मतलब स्टेट्स के लीडर्स से लेकर जिला तहसील के सभी लीडर्स से मैं मिला हूँ, सबसे बात की है, लेकिन सभी को लगता है कि ये इनका ट्रेडिशन है और ये प्रिमिटिव ट्राइब है, तो ये चेंज नहीं होना चाहिए, ये इनकी आइडेंटिटी है. और इसमें सबसे गलत बात ये है कि ये डिसीजन मेकिंग में, मतलब ट्राइबल कम्युनिटी में सभी डिसीजंस एक कम्युनिटी लेवल पे लिए जाते हैं, जिसे गोकुल सभा कहते हैं. और उस गोकुल सभा में औरतों को आना ही अलाउ नहीं है. मतलब औरत खुद के घर में रहे या बाहर रहे, ये डिसाइड वो या उसकी फैमिली नहीं करती, लेकिन कम्युनिटी के ट्रेडिशनल लीडर्स करते हैं, जो सभी मेल हैं. तो इसकी वजह से उन्हें पीरियड हट में अगर बीमार हो जाए तो मेडिकल असिस्टेंस नहीं मिलता, साइकोलॉजिकल कंडीशंस बहुत बिगड़ जाती है. हमने ऐसी लड़कियां देखी जो 3 महीने तक कंटिन्यूअसली ब्लीडिंग हो रहा है, और वो पीरियड हट में 3 महीने से रह रही है. तो हमें लगा कि इस पे काम होना चाहिए. तो जैसे कि हमने 2018 में वहाँ पे काम शुरू किया, तब उससे पहले ही गवर्नमेंट ने भी वहाँ पे कुछ काम शुरू किया था. तो उनका कहना था कि औरतों की जान जा रही है, तो उसके लिए हम इन्हें सीमेंट का पीरियड हट बना के देंगे. तो ऐसे 400 शासकीय विसवा केंद्र, मतलब पीरियड हट वहाँ पे सैंक्शन हुए, उसमें से 30 बने हुए हैं. और ये इसमें अनटचेबिलिटी है या फिर ये सेग्रीगेशन है, ऐसा गवर्नमेंट को और कुछ एनजीओज को भी नहीं लगता. उन्होंने भी कुछ हट्स बनाए हैं, इको फ्रेंडली हट्स वगैरह. तो हमें लगा कि इससे ये जो प्रथा है वो और भी स्ट्रांग हो जाएगी, तो इसमें इंटरवेंशन करने की जरूरत है. और हमारा अप्रोच है कि हम उनके साथ डायलॉग करते रहे, बोलते रहे, और तब तक बोलते रहे जब तक ये चेंज ना हो. क्योंकि जो जिनके क्वेश्चन है यहाँ पे कम्युनिटी लेवल पे सभी डिसीजन लिए जाते हैं, तो जिनके क्वेश्चन है उनके ही आंसर्स आने चाहिए. हम बाहर से कुछ भी आंसर्स उनके पास लेके जाएंगे तो फिर वो एक्सेप्ट नहीं करेंगे. क्योंकि जैसे कहा जाता है कि अंडा अगर बाहर से फोड़ा जाए तो ऑमलेट निकलता है, लेकिन वो अंदर की गर्मी से फूटे तो उससे एक जीव पैदा होता है. तो वैसे ही इसमें है कि अगर ये प्रथा चेंज करनी है तो उनको ही चेंज कराना पड़ेगा. तो इसलिए हम वहाँ पे कुछ एक हमारा इंटरवेंशन है सत्य च प्रयोग, मतलब एक्सपेरिमेंट्स विद ट्रूथ. जैसे कि मीनाक्षी जी ने कहा कि मेनी थिंग्स वी डोंट नो. सो पहले हमने जब ये काम शुरू किया तब हमने यही देखा कि उनका सच क्या है, उन्हें क्यों लगता है कि ये सब फॉलो करना चाहिए और ये सब फॉलो हो. तो इसलिए हाँ, तो हमारा जो एक्सपेरिमेंट था उसमें हम वहाँ के गांव में जाके रहना, उनके लोगों के साथ हम एक साल में 2 कैंप्स ऑर्गेनाइज करते हैं, जहाँ पे 2 वॉलंटियर्स वहाँ जाके रहते हैं और 10 साल के ऊपर के हर एक मेल और फीमेल के साथ ये बात करते हैं, उनका अप्रोच समझ लेते हैं, उनकी बिलीफ सिस्टम क्या है समझ लेते हैं, और उसके बाद उसे चेंज करने का प्रयास करते हैं. अब तक हमने ऐसे 49 विलेजेस में ये कैंप्स लिए हैं और अब तक 5000 से ऊपर औरतों को साथ हमने ये इंटरवेंशन किया है। तो इसमें हम कुछ सर्वेस कंडक्ट कराते हैं, कुछ P4 पीरियड्स के सेशंस मेल एंड फीमेल एंड एडोलसेंट और यूथ के साथ अलग अलग सेशन लिए जाते हैं ताकि उनके ग्रुप बने, उनके क्वेश्चंस उस हिसाब से आए। हम जो आशा क्लॉथ कार्ड बनाते हैं वो उन्हें दे देते हैं, उसी के साथ वो बनाने का प्रशिक्षण भी उन्हें दे देते हैं ताकि वो खुद बनाकर वो इस्तेमाल कर सके। उन्हीं के कुछ गांवों में जो हमारे साथ आरोग्य सखी जो लोकल हेल्थ वर्कर है काम करती है, उन्हें हमने कुछ स्विंग मशीन दी है जो वो वहां पे बना के वो अभी इस्तेमाल करते हैं। तो इसमें सबसे अहम बात यह है कि हमने कुरमा रिफॉर्म रिजोल्यूशन एक तैयार किया है जो कि गांव लेवल पे लिया जाता है और वहां पे सब लोग बैठ के चर्चा करते हैं कि क्या कुरमा हट्स में बिजली की व्यवस्था होनी चाहिए, क्या वहाँ आवाज होनी चाहिए, क्या वहाँ पे कुछ हम वहाँ से उन औरतों से पनिशमेंट ना लें, उन्हें सोशल बॉयकॉट। औरतें जो है वो डिसीजन मेकिंग में आ रही है। हमारी रंजना नाम से एक लड़की है जो कि वहाँ की हमारे शिविर में उसने सहभाग लिया था, तो उसके बाद उसे लगा कि ये काम करना चाहिए, तो उसने आरोग्य सखी के तौर पे काम शुरू किया। उसका काम काफी इंप्रेसिव था, तो वो फील्ड कोऑर्डिनेटर बनी। उसके बाद उसकी लीडरशिप क्वालिटी देख के उसके गांव वालों ने उसे इलेक्शन कंटेस्ट करने के लिए बोला था। अभी वो उप सरपंच है और ऐसी हमारी 49 में से 2 आरोग्य सखी उप सरपंच है, 2 सरपंच है। तो ये ट्रेडिशनल लीडरशिप को बीट करने के लिए या फिर चैलेंज करने के लिए हमें पैरेलल वुमेन लीडरशिप लानी होगी। बस यही था। ये लास्ट लाइन है कि आप अगर कुछ जानना चाहो तो इस कैंपस से। थैंक यू
सो मच सचिन जी। हमने अभी 2 प्रेजेंटेशन मिलर उसमें हैं, तो इन इश्यूज को एड्रेस करने के लिए क्या कोई जनरल अप्रोच हमें नहीं लेना चाहिए?
मुझे लगता है कि इन सभी में हमें एक जो कॉमन बात दिखी, हमने भी काफी रिसर्च किया, तो औरतें को डिसीजन ना ले पाना और
सेंटर से
पुरुषों के पास होना, यही मुझे लगा। तो उसके लिए उन्हें ही एम्पावर करना और खुद के राइट्स के प्रति, मतलब हमारा वहाँ का नारा है कि मावा मेंदु मावा अधिकार, मतलब मेरा शरीर मेरा अधिकार है। तो इससे ये सब
वहाँ सेंटर से तो मतलब वैसे साइड वाले लोग का थोड़ा सा
हमें लगता है कि ये प्रथा अब तक भी क्यों शुरू है। तो जो आरोग्य सखी हमारे साथ काम करती है तो उन्हें उनकी शादी होने देना या फिर वो समाज मन के वॉलंटियर्स के साथ उनके कुछ अफेयर्स है, ऐसा कुछ ये करना। ये संस्थाएं आदिवासियों की जमीन हड़पने के लिए आती है, ऐसा कहना तो इतना विरोध है
कि हम जहाँ जहाँ पे काम कर रहे हैं वहाँ पे बहुत RCH पे देखते हैं या वुमेन लेड ऑर्गेनाइजेशन। ये देश जो है सबसे बड़ा SHGs का देश है और SHGs are women led. So I think it's a question of not trying to create new things or new structures, but also embedding that thought process of new thinking in those present collectives of women जो पावर की बात कर रहे हैं और जो लीडरशिप की बात कर रहे हैं। लीडरशिप कहीं कहीं पर है मगर उसमें मेंस्ट्रुएशन का एमएचएम का लेंस नहीं है। कास्ट को लेके बहुत सारी बातें हैं, ऐसे बहुत सारे मुद्दे हैं जिसमें महिलाओं से रिलेटेड होता है काम और जुड़ते हैं लोग। बट एमएचएम को एक अलग देखना, जो कि एक महिला के लिए तो एमएचएम अलग है ही नहीं, वो तो सेम ही है। तो दैट इज ऑल्सो एन अपॉर्चुनिटी।
एक चीज मैं बस ऐड करना चाहूंगी, जो इनका सेंटेंस वो मेरे साथ रहा है, दैट इज यू नो अंडा कहाँ से फूटता है, दैट रियली मैटर्स। एंड आई थिंक वो हम हमारे इंटरवेंशन में लाएंगे ना, वी विल। और हृदय परिवर्तन जो आपका पॉइंट था, मैंने इनके प्रेजेंटेशंस पढ़े सबके, मुझे याद है ये सब। आई थिंक दीज पॉइंट्स आर रियली इम्पैक्टफुल बिकॉज आप किसी भी दुनिया में किसी भी जगह पे जाओ यार, लोग तो वही रहने वाले, थोड़ा 19-20 होगा लोगों का लाइक थॉट प्रोसेस, बट थिंग्स आर गोइंग टू बी देयर। सो यू नो दैट थॉट प्रोसेस कि हम कम्युनिटी को कैसे इन्वॉल्व कर सकते हैं। एंड आई डोंट नो, ये अप्रोच हम जब तक नहीं रखेंगे हमको लगेगा हम सब सीख गए, फिर ये कॉन्फ्रेंसेस की जरूरत ही नहीं है हमको। सो आई थिंक दैट इज व्हाट आई थिंक टेक अवे, बिगेस्ट टेक अवे फॉर मी। थैंक यू सो मच। वी हैव नीरज गेरा नेक्स्ट। सो नीरज जी अपना एक अलग तरीके का प्रेजेंटेशन हमारे साथ ले आए हैं।
नीरज जी का प्ले करेंगे प्लीज।
I'm नीरज खेरा एंड मुझे पता है यहाँ पे बोलना कुछ ऐसे है जैसे वो हरिद्वार में बोर्ड लगा होता है ना, यहाँ सब ज्ञानी हैं, यहाँ ज्ञान न दें। Since you all are aware क्या क्या फैक्ट्स हैं, क्या क्या इश्यूज हैं, क्या क्या क्राइटेरियाज हैं, क्या क्या challenges हैं, so I would directly want to come on how my journey of being a MHM warrior or being a MHM social activist started. So I was a social photo documentary maker. I used to make social photo documentaries. And then I realized about this cause. I was so shaken. I got goosebumps when I realized a few facts which I portrayed through photo series. This is the first photograph, Frightful First. As we all are aware, 71% of the females, as per research, 71% of the females are not aware, but periods are when they hit puberty. So this is India even in 2024. In Ulhasnagar, we are aware in Ulhasnagar, a 30-year-old guy killed his 12-year-old sister just because he was not aware that the blood stain which she was having on her dress was because of periods. That girl could not justify. That girl could not justify the period stain because she didn't have knowledge about it and she had to pay through her own death. 50, 60, 70% of the females are not using sanitary pads. This photo depicts that. 50, 60, 70% of the females till date in India are not using hygienic sanitary pads, which is insane, I would say. And instead of that, they are using unhygienic cloth. They are using ash. They are using leaves. They are using socks, and very unhygienic options. In Koppal, I went on an India trip, nationwide trip. I went to Koppal. There was a case, a conductor, she was in the bus. So she got her periods. No one has the pads. So she went to a kind of gate and she went there. There was a scarecrow there. So in the farm there was a scarecrow. She took off some cloth there and she used it and she came back. After some time she felt something was pricking her. Something was making her uncomfortable. And before she could do anything, she got fainted. And when she was taken to the doctor, they realized the cloth she was having, it had a small snake inside. And she died. So this is how it is impacting if we are not using menstrual products, appropriate menstrual products, hygienic menstrual products, and not using appropriate menstrual products are causing various illnesses, various diseases. In India, apart from this, in India, 60-70,000 deaths because of cervical cancer. Just because we do not talk about menstruation, we do not talk about reproductive health. Fine. Highest number of cervical cancer cases are in India. Period shaming. We have heard about period shaming. That's very common. And not just females, not just males, even females are doing period shaming. We have heard of many cases where girls have committed suicide. So this photograph depicts that. This photograph depicts the pain which they go through when they have their periods. As per the research, they go through pain, something similar to pain which people go through by heart attack. It's such a big issue and we are not talking about it. I'm not talking about we. We as Indians, we are not talking about it. We are not comfortable about it. He was talking about, this is called goat. In Nepal it's called chopadi. He was, in his state it's called Kurma Pratha. In Maharashtra it's called Gaonkar Pratha. So it's everywhere. It's everywhere. In a lot of states. Even in northeast, Assam, it is there. There in some places where girls are supposed to be in a separate room. We celebrate that, we celebrate in South India, people are very comfortable about it. People celebrate it. But very next month, what happens? They are supposed to live in a separate room. They are not allowed to attend the marriage of their own sister and so on. Various myths. You can't touch this, you can't go to the temple, you can't do this, you can't do that. We need to work on all the myths. And this year, we have around 32 photographs, just because time was very limited, so I am showing a few of them only. So this photograph I did as a photo documentary maker, it was published in BBC, it was published in Statesman, a lot of national and international newspapers. These are only few of them, and got attention of a lot of people, but not those people who are actually living in those villages, who are actually facing those problems. So I realized I really need to work on the grassroots level. So we initiated a period revolution. I started conducting sessions on the grassroots level. This is, I'll share about this. This, we initiated, we requested government on change.org that please give free sanitary pads to people who are living below poverty line. And we met Niti Aayog, we met PMO, we met a lot of people, a lot of ministers involved, and changes happened, of course, not just because of me, because all of you doing advocacy. And I initiated a pan-Indian tour, and through those pan-Indian tour, I personally went to 23 states. I personally conducted 400 sessions. I personally interacted with 130,000 students or community members in India, which is a world record. So what are the best practices which worked as an organization, as an individual, for me, for us? See, first of all, what worked is awareness campaign. Like you were saying, people have problems in Maharashtra, people have problems in different states and so on. So if people have problems in different states, then going to different states, हर जगह जाना, it's very, very essential. उनको empower करना. हम लोग क्या करते हैं? हम लोग सबसे पहले तो एक narrative बना के रखते हैं. It is between men versus women. It is between culprit men versus the victim women. It is not like this. It is always between sensitive people and insensitive people. And I would say it is always between people who are not aware versus people who are aware. So we did a lot of awareness campaigns. We did stigma reduction through photography. I urge all of you to work through whatever skill you have, whatever art you have, whatever you are doing. Please be in next slide. I'll talk about it. Then we did collaborative approach. We met a lot of NGOs. We did collaboration with a lot of NGOs, and through those collaboration, we were able to do pan-India campaign. Otherwise, for a single person, for one Humanify Foundation, it was very difficult to conduct so many sessions. But a lot of people came, a lot of NGOs came, and they said, see, in any case, if I am conducting a session for 10,000 persons, 10,000 students or 10,000 community people, it goes in their account as well. So they were also happy and having a new face added, And then inclusion of males in discussion. Inclusion of males in discussion. In all our sessions, we kept a condition. That was the main challenge which we faced, but that was the main USP of our session. We said we kept one condition. Okay, if males will sit in the session, then only we will conduct the session. Since I also conduct motivation session, when I am conducting MHM session, I also conduct a session about goals. I also conduct session for mindfulness, meditation. So people allow it a little more easily, I would say. So this is what we did, including art, photography, narratives, storytelling, data, speakers, including men, boys, and for government bodies, the suggestion we want, government has already made one national policy, which I believe is very amazing. Just that we need to see whether its implementation is good or not. Meenakshi Dikshit was talking about one rupee sanitary pads. I went to a lot of states where even ASHA workers and Anganwadi workers are not aware that such kind of sanitary pad is available. So availability is another issue. Awareness is not there. So I would urge all of you to at least see that implementation of all those things are there or not. It is very essential. Implementation of the government policy is going, and the benefit is going to the beneficiaries. Please ensure this. Even if we are doing this, then also it will be a great thing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
If anyone quickly has a question for Neeraj ji, they can ask.
Yeah.
Bioregion in 3 villages that surround Auroville. We've got a very small group of like 10 tailoring units, 10 women in each of the tailoring units that work with us. And the main aim here is to create a shift in environmental and social change where we revitalize menstrual practices that are healthy, environmental friendly, and just culturally more responsive, and empowering women across the world because our work is not domestic, it's also international. And we do so by producing cloth pads. A lot of you here might know them as the pioneers of the cloth pad revolution because we are now almost 15 years old. So the work here that we do is not just about producing cloth pads and distributing it internationally and domestically, but also education. So a lot of our work that started almost 15 years ago has shaped many menstrual health educational modules for a lot of us here. So just quickly touching on how we structure our work is that the main idea of menstrual health management for us is that it can be improved by breaking the silence around women's reproductive and menstrual health and emphasizing that hygienic practices should be applied and not just adolescent girls and women but also to men. In EcoFem we also really like the term eco-sisterhood, a term that describes a supportive community of not just women but also men united by a shared commitment to environmental sustainability, empowerment and a collective action for better menstrual health management. So just because it's got the term eco-sisterhood doesn't mean that our other allies are not included here. So I'm sure EcoFem pads are not alien to any of you here, but they're structured like all the other pads here are. We are God certified and we have partners who have been now using it for almost 6 years plus. So again, very simple procedure on how we use the cloth pads. Basic, wash it, dry it till it's bone dry so that we're not, it's in no way infective if bacterial infections. So we promote clean, dry practices here. And that's when we realized that just distribution of a cloth pad is not enough, right? It has to be coupled with education. So we do extensive menstrual health education management workshops with direct community outreach programs, but also training of trainers where we train local community members so that they can then go and carry out these sessions within their communities. One of the practices that we really mindfully do is that we remember and note that we are not necessarily one of the community, because when you're working with tribal communities in different states, you might just be a person, it's a lot like how we criticize the white savior complex, where you are an outsider that is coming and telling individuals how to live their life better. So we don't want to do that. So we have partner organizations that work with us, and they have then isolated their own community members who are capable of taking this training on and then go back to their own community members to give the education and knowledge, so that we just take a back seat, be the organization that's the knowledge partner, the knowledge bank, and then also, if they so choose, also the sustainable period product of cloth pads is what we offer.
Vedika, sorry to interrupt. Can you finish it in 1 more minute?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
So the two programs that we really champion ourselves with, the two non-profit programs are Pad for Pad and Pad for Sisters, where we provide pad kits for free for adolescent girls and subsidized pads for adult women. And then quickly, since we are very short on time, I'd just like to touch on the 3 main practices we follow. One, like I mentioned, that the job doesn't end at distributing cloth pads or pad kits. It has to be coupled with education. Otherwise, it really does fall flat. And secondly, when we're doing the non-profit work, we're looking into 3 main factors of health, economics, and environment. And our aim with the education is to So that is basically that women can prioritize health as the first factor to making this switch and not so much as economics. But the sad reality is that economics takes precedence. And thirdly, we always aim to leave the beneficiaries, be it adolescents or women, with the agency of choice intact and if anything more strengthened. So we do leave them with a product analysis where we give them an idea of what all are the menstrual products available in the market at their disposal, and then they get to pick what they want, and it's not that we have to shove only one particular menstrual product down them. And we have 86 partners across the country and internationally that we're working with. And these are some of the stats of how we have fared in the last year. And yeah, so that's 103 million pads that we have saved from landfills with our work at EcoFem. And these are some of our very prominent partners that we are working with. So I'll stop there because I know we are very short on time.
Thank you so much, Vedika. If you can ask her briefly, or if there are any thoughts that anyone wants to share. Yeah, sure. Your mic is probably not working. Can you move closer? I think it's...
So ma'am, very nice presentation. I just want to understand that how do you encourage women to, dry these recyclable pads under the sun, right? Because when I was working in Jaisalmer, I understood that people don't even, realize that we, need to, sun dry our undergarments as well. So, taking this sanitary pad and drying it under the sun and making everyone aware that you are menstruating or you are using such a thing. So how it is,
Right. Thank you so much for the question. It is obviously not easy because the shame and stigma associated with just menstruation is so big, and then when you get in a reusable menstrual product which requires washing, touching your own menstrual blood and then drying it for the world to see, as people would say, is difficult. So that's where the education really comes in, where we start with a lot of breaking the stigma or the silence around it, and that we do so by creating a safe space so that women and girls first realize that it's a very biological process. So the moment you detach it from so much as a social process to a more biological and a personal process, it's easier for them to understand that okay, this just has to be done. And many times we do that by explaining that you wouldn't necessarily put on wet clothes, so do the same. And then and that's like you rightly mentioned, people don't have the necessary knowledge about okay, you can't even wear wet underwear. So we do it with just open dialogue and conversation and education around it. So we try to keep it as clinical as possible, because the moment you keep it to a lot of social structuring around menstruation, that's when more layers of social stigma keeps getting added on. So yeah, honestly, just conversation and education around it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Vedika.
I just wanted to add one point. I think one of the things which probably would help, and we've seen it on our work, that if you involve other women, like even women who are not menstruating, dadi, nani, bua, chachi, because the first issue is of shame, and shame from someone, shame which has been perpetuated somewhere in the ecosystem. So if you have them become a part of that discussion about there's nothing to be ashamed about it, then it becomes easier for the woman who's actually practicing it to be doing it in a less kind of intimidating environment.
It's true, ma'am. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. I would like to quickly add a few points to this, and then we will end this session. So I think this session was full of learnings. We learned about how community can, how we can do this community-centric. We also learned about different stigmas and what are the different practices that are happening in the community. We learned about a different approach from Neeraj ji, how we can approach the stigmas, and we also learned from EcoFem like Vedika that what are the different approaches that are there to work on this. So just one thing that I want to add, and I will take just 2 seconds of use, not more. So I think a lot of us work on different programs, and if we want to bring change, this is something that I learned in 11 years, is that you know, a lot of our activities are, a lot of our work is activity centric, that has been happening, you might agree. So if we work on program, if we work on something long term, so I think that is what will help us see some change in the community, because 1 or 2 events, I mean, yeah, that will be helpful. However, if you want to bring something more, if you were to bring something, you know, a longer thing, the community will own it only if you see that, you know, community members so often. You develop a bond with them. So I think that is really important when we address these solutions, because if they continue seeing you as an outsider, they will not take those solutions. So I think that's very important. And so another thing that I just want to say is that we all know that there are many distribution drives and different things happening. I just want to add one addition to that, is that there is very less documentation of our menstrual health initiatives. All of us sitting here, lot of us do so many things and we do not document them. So if we document them, we present them very well. So I think this MHM Summit was a very great you know, opportunity to present our work. So if we document it, put it in a public forum, I think it can be a learning opportunity for all of us. And lastly is like research. I mean, research is something we are all still lagging behind. If you go abroad, like I get to meet people, so they have research on every small activity they do, they will document. So I think we can emphasize more on that. If we are monitoring our programs, evaluating them, they can be excellent research papers as well. So I would request all of you to think of the topics that we discussed today. So thank you so much for all of your time.
And 10 seconds. Regarding documentation, I would say we take a pre-printed form, we take a form certificate of appreciation, we keep it writing, you know, whatever we do in the session, and how many students attended the session, how many community members attended the session, and the place, and we take the photographs. So that's the reason we were able to get the world record certificate, since we had all the certificates. So maybe we can all print it, format whatever you want, whatever information you want, and then take from them, and then get it stamped as well, so that you can use it as an evidence wherever it is needed.
All right, it was very interactive sessions and the presentations. Now is the time I would like to request Ms. Rajyasree Kulkarni Divakar, Menstrual Health Consultant, HLL Management Academy, ma'am, to please come forward to present the Angvastra. Would like to request you to please present the Angvastra to Mrs. Meenakshi Gupta, co-founder Mooj. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have a big round of applause. And with him, we would also like to request our founder and CEO Gramale, Mr. S. Samudar, sir, to please join us to present the momentum.